Hello guys, welcome to my channel. On the last video I was talking in Spanish. Most of the views came from English speaking countries. From now on I will try to speak in English. This is not my first language, but I will try my best, I promise. The sponsor of this video is Oshouna Minis, so they sent me a bunch of their minis. When I saw this robot, it got my attention because it wasn't like a brutal and deadly robot. Instead of this, he got these tiny little arms, so it gave me like a kinda sad vibe. So I wanted to make a piece around this. And I also love flowers, so I named this piece Dandelion Seeker. For the first step, we will be giving it a dark green base coat. I always have this little cardboard on my desk where I try my airbrush thickness of the paint. This will be a base coat, so we will be thinning it with a 50-50 mix of water and paint. For the coloring of this piece, I will be using cold colors as my primaries and warm colors for my secondary. There are plenty of ways of finding which colors fit best, but with this technique you will almost never fail. On these highlights I used like a greenish gray, and it's a highlight color, but it's very dark because these are the legs of the robot and I don't want to highlight this part very much. We take our sponge. I like to drip it first so I can take a small piece of it and you can start highlighting. You can follow this tutorial with another robot, with another diorama, another idea. I think I use really easy techniques, so I think anyone can follow up. We make a new 50-50 mix, 50% of our previous mix and 50% of pure grey-green. I don't want these rocks to be really bright, so I want to be highlighting them very much. You can also take your brush and keep highlighting with the same mix. As you can see, I didn't notice that the head was also a rock, so I did the exact same steps. The next step will be the metallics. You can use silver paint, but I really like to give some hues to almost everything. To the rocks, for example, instead of building just grey, we started with dark green. That way we have a bit of green on the rocks. So we will be doing the same with the metallics. We will take our favorite metallics color and we will mix it with a drop or two of blue acrylic ink. You can see that the piece got very bright, but we don't want a bright piece and we don't want the highlights to be on the body. We will be making an OSL later, so our attention goes to the dandelion, to the OSL and to the robot's eye. To fix this, we will be using one of my favorite paints. I love to use oils when I'm doing like a tabletop finish. I don't really like to use them on a display piece, except when we are making TMM. In that case, I really like to use oils, even if it's a display piece. With the oils, you do the opposite that you normally do with acrylic paint. We give a very dark coat and then we take our white spirit and start highlighting it. We are removing the oils from the highlighted areas and leave it only on the recesses. As you can see, our metallic is already looking great, but it will be much better when we highlight those details. One of them are the cables. I was thinking on how to color them. At first I wanted to give it like a red and yellow and blue, like the bombs in the films, but as we are using cold colors as our primaries and warmer colors with our secondaries, I think that it will be much better if we only use red here. For the screws and the details on the armor, I chose to go with copper. As you can see, we are always using our blues for the main parts and our reds for the secondary parts. From now on, you will see the eye painted. I won't show you because later I will make a better version of this. And this finally is one of the funniest parts of the mini. I will show you how to do a really bright OSL with lining and super power and brutally light coming out of it, and you will love it. First step, we will highlight the area using white ink. It's very important to think where the light would hit. This was a real robot, a real light. We mix a 50-50 mix of orange and yellow fluor paint. Just throw it over the white ink and go a little bit around it. Third step, we take again our white ink and with our brush we use it on the most bright area. After this we take pure yellow fluor paint and paint over this new white area. On this mini I didn't want it to be that bright because the laser was like charging up, not firing. So over the yellow I glazed pure orange fluor paint. For the next step, we will be taking the pure orange and we will making like a halo around the light. And if you want to take this step even further, wait for the end of the video. So, coming next is the eye. We base coat with a dark color. Then we glaze our first highlight on the bottom of the gem. We glaze pure black on the opposite side. After this we glaze our second highlight and then with pure white we paint some dots on the darker side. This will be our secondary reflection, so our brain will read this as a reflective surface. You can skip this step, but I like to give it a gloss varnish coat so it's even more reflective. So this epic lining effect is that easy that you will never think that this is true. You just need wire, like any wire, silver, copper, tin, any wire. Then you will check where it fits on your figure. And after this, you just bend it randomly. Depending on the brightness we want, we paint it white or any other color. It's very important here to repeat the OSL process on a small point where the lining hits. Our piece is almost finished. I want to give it some darker shadows, but I will wait until the diorama is complete, so I can match the shadows of the piece from the shadows of the base. For the base, I 3D printed a square plinth. This is a free piece, and you can find it on printables. Then I use this dark earth paint from AK, but you can use any texture here. After it's dry, I 3D printed a regular rock where our dandelion will sit, and I also glued some secondary rocks. After it's dry, we prime it black and give it a green base coat. And using a slightly brighter green, I painted a highlight on the middle of the piece. Then with the same mix we used on our robot legs, I just give it texture to the main rock, and then using a dry brush I highlighted the rest of the base. Our flower is one of the last flowers on Earth, so I wanted to give the effect that it's sitting on a rock just above the water level, on like a swamp or a really dirty water. To make the rock brighter, I sprayed some shadows on the borders of the base, giving it like a vignette effect. I went with purple ink, and on the edges I went with pure black ink. It's really important to really stick our plexiglass the best you can. You can use UV resin, you can use hot glue, you can use even tape. You really have to stop the water from leaking, because once it's dry, it's as hard as a rock, but when you put it, it's really watery, so the smallest hole will make a mess in your house. I also recommend that you put this over a surface where it can freely leak, so if this happens, you won't have epoxy all over. I can give you an advice from this. Once it's leaking, more hot glue won't fix it, but wood paste fixed it for me. I just slapped up where it was leaking and it fixed it for me. For the water to have a swampy effect, I mixed some drops of contrast paint. You can use any brand here, and you can also use inks. As I told you, there was one step missing on the OSL, and it's to paint another halo around the orange halo. But as I wanted a really dark piece, I also painted the darkest spots using pure black. Now that it's almost finished, I go with the last details. I decided to paint some moss on the rocks. I use a special paint here, but you can get with effect with any paint. I just slap it on the recesses and clean it with my finger. I also used this water texture to give a more realistic effect on the water. I tried to put another flower on its arm. I wasn't sure about this. Having just one flower on the diorama made it look really good, but after I tried to, I really loved the contrast of the ruins robot, using all its power to defend the flower, and the beauty of the flower and it being so small. It's not even 3D printed, it's just one flower ripped off a flower bush. I think this gives some extra depth to the piece. So finally, our diorama is done. It's time to some cinematic beauty shots.